Hi ladies, have you ever wondered why some women seem to have this irresistible magnetism, that no matter what happens, their man never wants to leave? It's not just about beauty or luck, it's about qualities that go much deeper. Today, let's talk about the 7 qualities women have that make men stay forever. Confidence without arrogance. A confident woman doesn't simply believe in herself. It runs much deeper than that. Confidence without arrogance is a subtle, almost invisible power that radiates from her every move, every gesture, every word. It's not about loud declarations of, "I'm strong, I'm independent." It's about the quiet certainty she carries within, the kind that doesn't require applause or validation to feel real. Men are drawn to that kind of energy because it's stable, grounding, and rare in a world that often confuses self-worth with showmanship. Picture her entering a crowded room. She doesn't need to wear the flashiest dress or make a dramatic entrance to be noticed. Instead, there's something in the way she holds her shoulders, in the calmness of her gaze, that naturally makes people pay attention. Men sense that she isn't competing for attention, she's simply present, and that presence feels magnetic. She knows her place in the world without needing to push anyone else out of theirs. But let's go deeper. Real confidence isn't about the spotlight at all. It's about how she behaves when no one is watching. She doesn't crumble under criticism, and she doesn't inflate when praised. She takes feedback with grace, knowing that her value isn't determined by opinions, positive or negative. That steadiness makes men feel safe. When a woman isn't constantly shaken by the world around her, the man beside her feels like he can also breathe. Together, they create an atmosphere of calm instead of chaos. Contrast this with arrogance. Arrogance is loud. It needs to be seen, validated, and admired constantly. Arrogance pushes others down to climb higher. But confidence without arrogance? It uplifts. It inspires. Men feel proud standing beside a confident woman, not intimidated. She doesn't need to prove she's better. She knows she's enough. That difference is what keeps a man from walking away, because arrogance drains, but confidence nourishes. Think about how she handles setbacks. Life is full of disappointments, lost jobs, failed projects, personal struggles. An arrogant woman might mask her fear with blame or denial, but a confident woman, she faces the truth, adapts, and grows. She doesn't fear mistakes, she treats them as lessons. A man watching her navigate life's storms with grace sees more than a partner, he sees a force of nature. He realizes she isn't someone who collapses under pressure, and that resilience makes her unforgettable. Confidence without arrogance is also visible in the way she interacts with others. She doesn't see people as competition. Instead, she celebrates other women's successes and genuinely congratulates them without envy. She treats strangers with kindness, not because she has to, but because she sees everyone as human. Men notice that. They know that if she can treat the world with such respect, she will bring the same love and respect into her relationship. And that kind of consistency builds trust. Another powerful aspect is how confidence affects attraction over time. At the beginning of a relationship, physical beauty and novelty might be the spark. But years later, when looks shift and routines settle in, what remains magnetic is confidence. A confident woman doesn't fade into the background of her own life. She continues to evolve, to shine, to inspire. That constant growth keeps a man fascinated. It makes him feel that he didn't just choose a partner, he chose someone who will always remain vibrant. Confidence also shows in independence. She doesn't need her man to define her worth, but she chooses him out of genuine desire, not necessity. Men secretly crave this. They don't want to feel like they're the sole source of someone's happiness. It's a heavy burden. But when a woman's joy comes from within, the relationship feels freer, lighter, more real. He knows she is with him because she wants to be, not because she needs to be. That difference changes everything. And here's something men rarely say out loud. They admire women who can admit vulnerability without losing strength. A confident woman doesn't pretend to be unbreakable. She can say, "I'm scared," or "I need help," without feeling like it makes her weak. That openness actually makes her stronger because it's rooted in honesty. Men feel safe with women who are both resilient and real. That duality, strength with softness, is irresistible. Finally, confidence without arrogance is timeless. It doesn't expire with age, money, or trends. A confident woman at 20, 40, or 60 will always command attention in her own quiet way. She doesn't compete with younger women, because she knows her value isn't in youth, it's in presence. And a man who has experienced that kind of presence once will never want to let it go. Because it's not just attractive, it's unforgettable. That's why men never leave a woman with confidence without arrogance. She doesn't just hold his heart, she elevates his world. Emotional intelligence. Arguments happen, misunderstandings are inevitable. Two people with different backgrounds, different habits, and different ways of seeing the world will clash sooner or later. But the way those conflicts are handled is what determines whether a relationship grows stronger or crumbles apart. And here lies the quiet magic of emotional intelligence. A woman with this gift doesn't need to shout, belittle, or turn every disagreement into a war. Instead, she listens, not just to the words, but to the feelings behind them. She seeks to understand before demanding to be understood. And this, to a man, is unforgettable. Imagine a heated moment, voices rising, frustration building, both partners on edge. Many people in that situation let pride take the wheel. They cut each other off, score points instead of solving problems, and end up further apart than before. But a woman with emotional intelligence does something different. She pauses, she breathes, she asks herself, what is he really trying to say? What pain or fear sits underneath his anger? And by doing so, she transforms conflict into connection. She doesn't dismiss his feelings, she acknowledges them. She doesn't react to the tone, she responds to the meaning. And suddenly, instead of two people fighting against each other, they're working together against the problem. This ability to regulate emotions is a form of strength men deeply admire but rarely find. Because here's the truth. Most men are not taught to express emotions openly. Society tells them to man up, to hide vulnerability, to keep feelings locked inside. That creates walls in relationships. But when he meets a woman who can gently draw out what he struggles to say, who makes it safe for him to admit fears without judgment, he feels something rare, he feels understood. And men don't walk away from that kind of understanding. Emotional intelligence also shows in her self-awareness. She recognizes her own triggers and doesn't let them control her. Instead of exploding when she feels ignored, she communicates, "When you don't call, I feel unimportant." Instead of accusing, she explains. Instead of demanding, she invites dialogue. That shift from blame to vulnerability changes everything. Men don't stay where they constantly feel attacked, but they do stay where they feel invited into intimacy. Another layer is empathy. A woman with emotional intelligence can put herself in his shoes, even when she disagrees. If he's distant, she wonders if he's overwhelmed, not disinterested. If he's short-tempered, she considers stress at work before assuming he doesn't care. This empathy doesn't mean excusing bad behavior, it means seeking context before judgment. And that makes him feel safe to open up instead of shutting down. Now, let's talk about communication. Many relationships fall apart not because of lack of love, but because of lack of healthy communication. A woman with emotional intelligence knows how to speak truth with kindness. She doesn't sugarcoat issues, but she doesn't weaponize them either. Her words are chosen not to wound, but to build bridges. Men stay when conversations feel like solutions, not battles. There's also a subtle power in how she handles silence. Not every moment needs words. Sometimes, emotional intelligence means simply being there, holding space without forcing a resolution, giving him time to process. That patience communicates love louder than speeches ever could. Another aspect? Forgiveness. She doesn't keep a scoreboard of mistakes, throwing old arguments into new fights. She understands that clinging to resentment poisons connection. Instead, she addresses hurt, works through it, and lets it go. Men stay when they feel they're not endlessly punished for being human. Emotional intelligence also shows in the balance between softness and boundaries. She can nurture him without losing herself. She can support him without tolerating disrespect. She can listen without absorbing his every burden. That balance teaches him that love can be both gentle and strong. It teaches him that this relationship is a safe place, but also a place of respect. And here's the ultimate truth. A man may be drawn first by beauty, charm, or chemistry, but what makes him stay is how he feels when conflict arises. Does he feel small, or does he feel seen? Does he feel judged, or does he feel understood? A woman with emotional intelligence gives him the rare gift of being fully known without being diminished. And once he experiences that, leaving is no longer an option. That is why emotional intelligence is not just a quality. It's a magnet, a glue, a quiet superpower that holds relationships together when everything else feels uncertain. And men never, ever walk away from it. Passion for life. Have you noticed how energy is contagious? How being around someone who truly loves life makes you feel alive too? That's exactly what happens when a woman carries passion in her heart. She doesn't just exist, she lives. She wakes up not just to go through routines, but to chase something that excites her, challenges her, fulfills her. A woman with passion for life is like a flame, warm, inviting, and impossible to ignore. And when a man meets her, he realizes he's not just dating a person, he's standing next to an entire force of nature. Think about it. A woman who has dreams, hobbies, and goals outside of the relationship is magnetic. Why? Because she is her own person. She doesn't lose herself in the role of someone's girlfriend or someone's wife. She keeps her individuality alive. Maybe she loves painting, maybe she travels, maybe she's passionate about her career, or maybe she's simply obsessed with learning new things. Whatever it is, that fire inside her makes her endlessly attractive. Men don't leave women who bring light into their own lives, because every day with her feels like an adventure. Passion for life creates energy. When she talks about something she loves, her eyes sparkle, her voice lifts, her whole being glows. And men notice. That kind of energy is impossible to fake. It's what makes conversations with her unforgettable, because she's not just talking, she's sharing a piece of her soul. A man listening to her describe a dream or an idea feels inspired himself. He starts to see the world differently through her excitement. And suddenly, he's not just in a relationship, he's in a journey with her. Here's the thing. People often think relationships fail because of lack of love. But often, they fail because of stagnation. When two people stop growing, stop discovering, stop bringing new energy into each other's lives, the spark fades. A woman with passion for life prevents that from happening. She keeps the spark alive not through grand gestures, but through the simple fact that she is alive inside. She's curious, she's playful, she's always moving forward, and that movement pulls her partner forward too. Men also admire this passion because it shows independence. A passionate woman doesn't wait for someone else to create her happiness. She creates it herself. She doesn't sit around expecting her partner to fill every gap in her life. She fills it with her own interests and adventures. That independence is not a threat, it's a gift. It tells a man, I don't need you to survive. I choose you to share this life with me. That choice makes the bond stronger, not weaker. And passion doesn't just live in hobbies or careers, it shows up in the smallest details. How she enjoys a good meal, how she gets lost in a book, how she dances when her favorite song comes on. Men fall for that zest, that enthusiasm. Because life is hard, responsibilities are heavy, and passion reminds them that joy still exists. A woman with passion becomes his daily reminder that life is worth celebrating. Now let's go even deeper. Passion fuels resilience. When challenges come, a woman with passion doesn't collapse. She channels her energy into finding solutions, into fighting for what matters to her. Men see that and admire her even more, because passion is also strength. It keeps her moving when others give up, and that makes her not just attractive, but unforgettable. Passion for life also makes relationships fun. It keeps things unpredictable in the best way. One day she wants to try a cooking class, the next she wants to plan a weekend getaway, the next she has a crazy idea that makes both of them laugh. With her, life is never dull, and men don't leave where life feels vibrant. But perhaps the most beautiful part of a passionate woman is this: her energy is not limited to herself. She inspires her partner too. She encourages him to chase his dreams, to rediscover his own passions, to not settle for an ordinary life. She becomes not just his love, but his muse, his motivator, his reminder that there's always more to reach for. That's why men stay, because life with her doesn't shrink them. It expands them. At the end of the day, passion for life is not about being loud or constantly doing things. It's about carrying a spark inside that never dies, and letting it shine into everything you do. A woman who lives this way creates an atmosphere that no man wants to walk away from. Because passion, once felt, becomes addictive. And no man ever leaves the woman who makes life feel worth living every single day. Supportive strength. Here's a secret. Even the strongest man needs a safe place to fall. Society often paints men as unshakable, as protectors who never stumble, never break, never cry. But beneath the armor of masculinity, every man is still human. He has fears, insecurities, and silent battles that nobody else sees. And this is where a woman's supportive strength becomes more powerful than anything else. When she believes in him, even when he doubts himself, she doesn't just stand by his side, she becomes his anchor in a stormy sea. That kind of loyalty, that kind of love, is never forgotten. Supportive strength is not weakness. It doesn't mean sacrificing herself or silencing her own needs. It's the opposite. It's a quiet, unshakable presence that says, I see you, I believe in you, and I will not run when things get hard. It's holding his hand not only when he's winning, but especially when he's failing. It's looking into his eyes when he feels like he's lost everything and reminding him of who he truly is. Men may never admit it openly, but this is the kind of love they crave, the kind that steadies them when they're about to break. Think about how life tests people. Jobs are lost, businesses fail, dreams collapse, friendships fade, family expectations weigh heavily. A man may carry those burdens silently because he doesn't want to appear weak. But when he comes home to a woman whose strength supports him, he feels relief. He feels safe to put down the mask, and that moment of safety is priceless. That's what makes her unforgettable. He will always remember the woman who didn't abandon him when he was at his lowest. Supportive strength is also about faith, faith in his potential when he can't see it himself. Every man faces moments of self-doubt, moments when he questions whether he's enough, whether he's capable, whether his efforts matter. The world may tell him he's not good enough, but when his woman looks at him and says, I believe in you, it lights something inside him. That simple belief can fuel him more than any motivational speech, because it comes from the one person who knows him deeply. But supportive strength isn't blind loyalty. It's not about ignoring flaws or enabling destructive choices. It's about standing firm, encouraging growth, and holding space for him to rise. Sometimes, it means giving him tough love. Sometimes, it means pushing him when he wants to quit. Sometimes, it means refusing to let him settle for less than his potential. That balance, between compassion and accountability, is where real supportive strength lives. And here's another truth. Supportive strength often shows itself in silence. It's in the moments when she doesn't lecture, doesn't nag, doesn't criticize. Instead, she sits beside him, places a hand on his shoulder, and simply says with her presence, I'm here. You're not alone. That unspoken reassurance is more powerful than words. It's what makes him exhale the tension he's been holding for too long. Men never forget the women who walk with them through storms. They remember the encouragement during sleepless nights, the whispered prayers before big decisions, the way she reminded him of his worth when he wanted to give up. Those memories don't fade, they become etched into his soul, forever tied to her presence. And even if the world offers him something shinier, more exciting, he won't leave. Because deep down, he knows, no one else gave him that strength when he needed it most. Supportive strength is not about dependence, it's about partnership. It's about saying, we're in this together. Your battle is my battle, and your victory will be our victory. That kind of bond builds an unshakable foundation. Men stay not because they can't survive without her, but because life with her makes surviving unnecessary. They thrive instead. And here's the beauty. Supportive strength flows both ways. The woman who gives it often receives it back tenfold. Because when a man feels supported, he naturally wants to protect, uplift, and cherish the woman who gave him that gift. It creates a cycle of loyalty and love that only grows stronger with time. At its core, supportive strength is about love in action. It's not just saying, "I love you," when times are good. It's proving it when times are hard. It's turning words into presence, into belief, into unwavering commitment. And that, more than anything else, is why men stay. Because they can find beauty anywhere, but supportive strength? That's rare. And once they find it, they never want to let it go. Playfulness and humor. Life is tough. Bills pile up, work drains energy, responsibilities weigh heavy, and stress often feels endless. But here's the magic. When two people can laugh together, truly laugh, the world suddenly feels lighter. Playfulness and humor in a woman don't just add charm, they transform an ordinary relationship into a safe haven. She becomes the place where a man remembers joy, where he rediscovers the child inside him that adulthood tried to bury. And men don't walk away from that. Think about it. Most of life is repetitive. Wake up, work, pay bills, deal with traffic, repeat. Without playfulness, relationships can sink into routine. But a playful woman brings spark into the monotony. She teases him in the middle of a boring grocery run. She dances in the kitchen to a silly song while making dinner. She finds ways to make the dullest moments feel alive. That energy isn't just fun, it's healing. It reminds both of them that love isn't only about surviving together, but about living together. Humor, especially shared humor, builds intimacy faster than almost anything else. Inside jokes, funny nicknames, little pranks, these are the secret codes only they understand. And when life throws challenges at them, that humor becomes their armor. Arguments dissolve quicker when laughter sneaks in. Stress feels smaller when they can laugh at it side by side. A man who laughs with a woman feels connected to her on a level deeper than words, because humor is not just an action, it's a language of the heart. Playfulness also breaks tension. Imagine a heated moment. He's upset, she's frustrated, the air is heavy. Then, instead of fueling the fire, she cracks a joke, makes a funny face, or lightens the mood with a playful comment. Suddenly, the storm softens. It doesn't erase the problem, but it creates space to breathe. That balance, taking life seriously without letting it become suffocating, is a gift only playfulness can give. Men also stay with playful women because humor makes them feel young, no matter their age. A man in his 40s or 50s might be carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders, but with her, he feels like the boy he once was, the one who laughed easily, who played without guilt, who found joy in simple things. That rediscovery is priceless. It makes him realize that with her, life won't just be about aging, it will be about staying alive in spirit. Playfulness isn't immaturity. It's not avoiding responsibility or refusing to grow up. It's wisdom. It's the ability to know that yes, life is serious, but it doesn't always have to be heavy. A playful woman understands when to lighten the load, when to pull him out of his head and into the moment. And that balance keeps a relationship healthy. Without it, couples risk drowning in endless seriousness. With it, they thrive. Humor also deepens attraction. A woman who can laugh easily and make others laugh radiates confidence. She doesn't take herself too seriously, and that makes her approachable, magnetic, irresistible. Men don't want perfection, they want real. And nothing feels more real than laughing until your stomach hurts with the person you love. Playfulness and humor also strengthen resilience. When life throws hardships, a lost job, financial stress, family problems, the ability to still find moments of laughter becomes a survival tool. Couples who laugh together endure more, because laughter reminds them that even in pain, joy still exists. A man will cling to the woman who can make him smile through tears, because that smile becomes his hope. And here's the quiet truth. Men fall in love with how a woman makes them feel. Not just in the big moments, but in the small, everyday ones. If she makes him feel lighter, happier, freer, he won't want to let that go. He won't trade laughter for loneliness. He won't swap playfulness for pressure. Because at the end of the day, love without joy feels incomplete. That's why playfulness and humor matter so much. They are not trivial, they are essential. They make love fun, They make connection deeper. They turn ordinary days into memories. And they remind two people that even in the chaos of life, they still have each other to laugh with. A man may admire beauty, respect intelligence, and appreciate loyalty, but the woman who makes him laugh, who teases him, who keeps his spirit young, that's the woman he stays with for life. Because in her presence, the world isn't just manageable, it's magical. And no man walks away from magic. Respect and boundaries. This one is huge. Respect is the foundation of every lasting relationship, and boundaries are the walls that keep that foundation safe. Without these two, even the strongest attraction eventually cracks. Respecting his space, his individuality, and setting your own boundaries shows not only maturity, but also wisdom. Because love isn't about control, it's about freedom built on trust. And trust is the invisible thread that keeps men close, even when life tempts them to drift away. When a woman respects a man, she honors him as a person, not just as her partner, not just as a provider, not just as someone to claim. Respect means acknowledging his dreams, his efforts, his struggles, even when she doesn't fully understand them. It's listening without mocking, supporting without belittling, and appreciating without constantly trying to change him into someone else. A man can feel when he is respected, and that feeling creates safety. He doesn't have to pretend. He doesn't have to defend himself every second. He can simply be. But respect doesn't mean silence or submission, it means balance. It means she can disagree without demeaning, she can voice her opinion without tearing him down, she can challenge him without humiliating him. And when she does this, the relationship grows instead of weakens. Men stay when they feel both accepted and inspired by the woman they love. Boundaries are just as important. A relationship without boundaries is like a house without doors. Anyone and anything can walk in and destroy it. A woman who sets healthy boundaries communicates her worth. She doesn't tolerate disrespect, she doesn't allow herself to be taken for granted, and she doesn't give more than she can sustain. Paradoxically, this makes a man love her even more. Why? Because boundaries create clarity. He knows where he stands. He knows what she values. He knows what is sacred to her heart, and that knowledge fosters deeper respect. Respecting his space is another key. Men, like women, need time alone, time with friends, time to recharge. A woman who understands this doesn't suffocate him with constant demands. She doesn't make his independence a threat to her security. Instead, she honors it. She trusts that distance doesn't mean disinterest. And because she gives him freedom, he chooses to return to her, not out of obligation, but out of desire. That choice makes his love stronger, because it is rooted in freedom. On the flip side, she also expects her boundaries to be respected. Respect in a relationship isn't one-sided. She values herself enough to say no when necessary. She doesn't sacrifice her identity, her passions, or her peace to keep him close. And men stay when they see that their partner is not only supportive but also self-respecting. Because self-respect is magnetic. It tells him, I am whole, and I want to share my wholeness with you, not lose it for you. Trust grows in this environment. When respect and boundaries are in place, neither partner feels the need to control the other. There are no endless interrogations, no suffocating jealousy, no manipulation disguised as love. Instead, there is freedom. And paradoxically, it's that freedom that keeps people loyal. A man who feels trusted is far less likely to break that trust, because he doesn't want to lose the rare gift of being believed in. Think of it like this. A relationship with respect and boundaries feels like a dance. Both partners move freely, but they stay connected. Neither steps on the other's toes, neither tries to dominate the rhythm, yet together they create harmony. That harmony doesn't come from force, it comes from understanding. And when a man finds a woman who can dance with him in this way, he holds on tightly, because he knows how rare it is. Men may admire beauty, intelligence, or charm, but what keeps them committed is how they feel inside the relationship. Do they feel honored? Do they feel free? Do they feel trusted? A woman who offers respect and maintains boundaries gives a man those feelings every single day. And those feelings create loyalty deeper than any fear, deeper than any temptation, deeper than any fleeting desire. That is why respect and boundaries are not optional, they are essential. They protect love, they nurture trust, they preserve individuality while creating unity. And men never walk away from the woman who gives them both freedom and security in the same embrace. Unshakable authenticity. Pretending to be someone else always cracks over time. Masks eventually slip, rehearsed lines eventually falter, and facades eventually exhaust the person wearing them. But when you're unapologetically yourself, flaws, quirks, imperfections, and all, you invite a kind of love that's not built on performance, but on truth. And truth, once discovered, becomes the strongest glue in a relationship. Men stay where they feel safe being themselves too, and authenticity is what creates that safe space. Unshakable authenticity begins with self-acceptance. A woman who embraces her imperfections doesn't waste energy trying to play roles or chase unattainable images. She laughs at her own mistakes, owns her awkwardness, admits when she doesn't know something. That kind of honesty is refreshing in a world obsessed with filters and facades. To a man, it feels like oxygen. With her, he doesn't have to compete or pretend. He can simply be, and that relief is priceless. When a woman is authentic, her love feels different. It doesn't feel like a performance meant to impress, it feels like a real connection. She says what she means, she feels what she says, and she shows up exactly as she is. Men don't have to second-guess her intentions or decode mixed signals. That clarity becomes a source of peace. He knows where he stands. He knows she's not pretending to be perfect, and that honesty makes him trust her with his own truth. Authenticity is magnetic because it's rare. Many people wear masks to be accepted, to be loved, to be admired. But authenticity says, I'd rather be disliked for who I am than loved for who I'm not. That courage is deeply attractive. It shows strength, it shows confidence, and it shows a kind of fearlessness that men respect. Because if she's brave enough to be real in a world that constantly pressures people to fake it, then she's strong enough to face life with him. And here's the beauty, authenticity invites reciprocity. When she's real, he feels permission to be real too. He doesn't have to hide his doubts, his vulnerabilities, his scars. With her, he can drop the act he shows the rest of the world. He can admit fears without feeling judged. He can cry without feeling weak. He can laugh without restraint. That kind of safety is rare, and once a man experiences it, he doesn't want to lose it. Unshakable authenticity also prevents relationships from collapsing under false expectations. If she pretends to love things she secretly hates, pretends to agree when she disagrees, pretends to be easygoing when she actually needs boundaries, sooner or later, the cracks appear. Resentment builds, conflicts erupt, and the illusion shatters. But when she's honest from the beginning, when she says what she likes, what she dislikes, what she dreams of, she sets a clear foundation. A man who chooses her knows exactly who he's choosing, and that knowledge keeps love steady. Authenticity is also deeply liberating. She doesn't measure herself against every other woman. She doesn't compete, doesn't copy, doesn't compare. She celebrates others without dimming her own light. That self-assurance makes her radiant. A man by her side feels proud, not because she's flawless, but because she's real. And real beauty, the kind that isn't trying to fit a mold, is the kind that lasts. Men also stay because authenticity makes love effortless. Pretending requires energy. Performing drains intimacy. But authenticity? It flows. Conversations feel easy, silence feels comfortable, and presence feels enough. He doesn't feel like he's with a role, he feels like he's with a person. And that simplicity becomes addictive in a world full of complications. Even conflict feels different with authenticity. She doesn't manipulate, she doesn't play games, she doesn't twist words. She speaks her truth with courage and listens with the same openness. A man never feels like he's navigating a maze of hidden meanings. Instead, he feels like he's building something solid, and that solidity makes him stay. Unshakable authenticity is not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. She's the same woman in public as she is in private. The same woman when she's celebrated and when she's struggling. The same woman when she's adored and when she's challenged. That consistency builds trust, and trust builds loyalty. At its core, authenticity says, I am enough, exactly as I am. And when a man feels loved by a woman who is real, he knows that her love is real too. It's not based on illusions, not based on conditions, not based on who he pretends to be. It's based on truth, and truth is what every man craves, even if he doesn't always admit it. That is why men never walk away from unshakable authenticity. Because in a world full of masks, being with someone who is unapologetically real feels like coming home. And once a man has felt that kind of home, no temporary thrill or shallow charm can ever compare. So, ladies, beauty might catch his eye, but these qualities? They capture his heart and hold it for life. Beauty is powerful, yes. It draws attention, it can spark attraction, it can make someone turn their head across a crowded room. But beauty alone, no matter how striking, cannot hold a man's soul forever. Looks fade, trends change, and physical perfection is never enough to build a lifetime of loyalty. What truly lasts, what truly binds, are the qualities that reach beyond the surface and touch the heart. When a woman embodies confidence without arrogance, emotional intelligence, passion for life, supportive strength, playfulness and humor, respect and boundaries, and unshakable authenticity, she becomes unforgettable. She becomes not just someone he admires, but someone he needs, someone he chooses again and again. Because beauty might draw him in, but these qualities keep him there for life. Think of it this way. Beauty might start the conversation, but it is her character that keeps the dialogue alive. It is her laughter, her energy, her wisdom, her kindness, and her strength that transform fleeting attraction into deep devotion. Men stay not because of how flawless a woman looks in a moment, but because of how she makes them feel every single day. They stay where they feel safe, where they feel understood, where they feel alive. And that kind of connection has nothing to do with makeup, body shape, or age. It has everything to do with essence. So when we say these qualities capture his heart, what we mean is this: they give him roots and wings at the same time. Roots, because they ground him in trust, love, and respect. Wings, because they inspire him to grow, to dream, to live more fully. That's why men don't walk away from women with these qualities. They know they've found not just a partner, but a safe haven, a muse, a teammate, and a lover all in one. This truth is empowering, because it reminds us that lasting love isn't about competing with unrealistic standards of beauty or trying to be someone else. It's about leaning into who you are, nurturing these deeper qualities, and letting them shine through everything you do. That's the kind of beauty that doesn't fade, the kind that glows stronger with time. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and check out my other videos for more insights. And hey, share this with a friend who needs a reminder of how powerful she truly is. And remember, your true power doesn't come from the reflection in the mirror. It comes from the qualities within you that no one else can duplicate. That's what captures a heart, and that's what holds it for a lifetime.